Latin, page 139. Famous saying, ars longa, vita brevis. Means art is long, life is brief. Why is this a true saying? Can art last longer than life? Can you think of any famous works of art? The majority of famous art was not created in your lifetime or even in your parents' lifetime. The beauty that an artist captures may last for hundreds of years and give joy to many. Some examples that I can think of might be the Mona Lisa by Da Vinci and The Last Supper by Michelangelo. There's the statue of David, and all of these things are over 500 years old. So some of these very famous works of art are much, much older than we are and our grandparents. So they do live longer than humans, a lot of these famous works of art. The chapter lesson on page 140. You know by now what a verb of being is. Try to think of 2 examples of English being verbs right now. Did you think of am, is, are, was, or even were? Now think of 2 examples in Latin. Some examples of Latin being verbs are sum, summus, and sunt. You should be able to think of sum with its 6 present tense forms and the past tense forms of eram. In this chapter, you will learn the future tense form of sum. The future tense is what we use to talk about things that have not happened yet. This means that with the future tense form of sum, you can talk about something that will be in the future. An example of a sentence that uses the future tense is, I will be 8 years old in April. Here's another example. He will be a great basketball player. You will find it very easy to learn the Latin future tense forms of sum because they are very similar to the past tense forms. Look at the following chart for the future tense of sum. I'm going to start reading under singular, starting with first person. Arrow, I will be. Eris, you will be. Erit, he, she, it will be. And then for the plural, Aramus, we will be. Eritis, you all will be. And erunt, they will be. Look at these forms and find the similarities and differences between these forms and the past tense forms. And then you can practice chanting the future tense forms many times. I want you to notice that the stem of the word, the main part of the word is ER. So for both the future and the imperfect tense, they also have the same endings that are very regular. Remember our regular endings, OST, must, tis, and nt. These follow the exact same verb endings, and then you just add on that stem of ER to most of these words. Now remember, we have to have a connecting vowel as well, and most of these connecting vowels, they added an I before they put the ending, except for in erunt, they added a U. Just wanted to point out a couple of those. Below, there are some sample sentences, and it should be easy for you to understand the following sentences which feature the future forms of sum. I want you to go ahead and take some time to read those. And then also on the next page, page 141, there's the plural forms also. So I want you to look at those. I want you to make sure you understand them. And if you don't, ask me some questions on our Zoom meeting, okay? Verbs at the end of the sentence. In Latin, it is common to put the verbs at the end of sentences like this. Architectus ero. I will be an architect. You see how ero was at the very end of the sentence after architect? We translated in English with I will at the beginning of the sentence, but in Latin, they put that verb at the end of the sentence. And then the next sentence says, Julia artifacts erit. Julia will be an artist. In the sentences below, I want you to fill in the blank with the correct form of some. Dawes blank artifacts. What do you think that is? I'm going to say it would be Erit because Dawes seems to be the name David. So we know that David is a boy. So we can use the pronoun he for that, for the word Dawes for David. So he, if we look on the chart on the previous page, he, she, or it will be the form that we want to use is Erit. So we would fill in that blank with Erit. The next one is Julia et Rosa blank Medici. What do you think that would be? I'm going to say that Julia and Rose are both girls, and we can use they as the pronoun when we talk about Julia and Rose. So if we look at the chart on the previous page, on page 140, they will be the form that we use is errant. So errant would be the form that you use in that blank.